Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast as part of this series, the series in around the Labostix Practice Edition as part of the LabSide G-Force, and a part of an part of the audio podcast series. I like to the Bostix G-Force and another audio podcast as part of a radio edition under Storm Labostix production. In this audio podcast overview, there will be an overview in around the quality in organ donation initiative, wherein the quality in organ donation initiative or quality in organ donation initiative or quad is an initiative that looks at advancing research in around transplantation with advancing research in transplantation with the in the within the wherein there is a basis in around where the initiative looks to help save lives, and on the main sort of site of on the main sort of website in around quad, there is a sort of there is a sort of sort of some background information in regard to where Quad facilitates looks to facilitate research in around transplantation, by providing investigators with samples of clinical data from from appropriately consented and authorized organ donors, and the initiative has a basis in around for researchers as well as researchers, investigators, as well as those who look to donate, for example. So for researchers, Quad is a sort of a low threshold sort of research based initiative, and where Quad encourages investigators and researchers from from all over the world to apply to access to access sort of samples in context of in context of research, in context of sort of medical laboratory sort of research. The Quad initiative is a is at the same time a sort of biobank, for investigators, for researchers, and where on the website, for example, there's information in regard to information in regard to the sort of sample access, in around the sample access, in around access policy, also in line to sort of the requirements and guidance for researchers and investigators, and also sort of a sort of approach, sort of three different forms that can be used to sort of put forward sort of request in regard to the sort of samples required. So the the samples requested are based on sort of a basis and around criteria together with relevant clinical data, if and where applicable, and also where the where the initiative has a basis in around a basis where the core initiative on the website, for example, has information regarding to sort of the latest news and the latest news in around sort of in around sort of the initiative. So, for example, where there's FAQs, for example, for example, FAQs, and also sort of examples of researchers, investigators, and sort of other uh, other sort of uh, invest other sort of important important people involved in the Quad initiative, sort of highlighting answers to particular important questions, and this includes sort of information and sort of information through the initiative by project managers, but also where there's sort of spotlight information from those within the organization, within the quad part of the quad initiative, and at the same time, there's information in regard to sort of where where the quad initiative and those involved in quad have been involved in involved in sort of involved in sort of symposia, involved in sort of symposia, and sort of highlighting things through aspects around the initiative, around the quad initiative, and quad initiative, in regard to the quad initiative as well. There was representation at the recent MedTech Expo 2023, and where there was an opportunity to sort of gain sort of more more understanding or in-depth understanding the qual initiative from a from a sort of from a research and sort of sort of scientific perspective. The qual initiative also um, uh, has a has a on the website, the basis in around the quad, more in an overall, is where the initiative facilitates research into in around transplantation by providing researchers with samples, example blood, urine, and tissue, and clinical data from appropriately consented, sort of donors, and organ donate in around transplantation, where organ transplantation seeks to sorts to save lives, could be considered can also be considered one of the greatest successes in context of clinical or scientific and sort of modern and clinical scientific and general sort of clinical medicine. However, over the past decade, there has been an ever increasing requirement in regards to transplantation. In regards to transplantation, of those who require transplants, far surpassing the supply, and this is a sort of there has been a prediction in context of literature and the evidence to unfortunately inform that over the next decade, there will be in context of in this context where more donors will be required in around transplantation. And so as many as 1 in 3 1 in 3 recipients on the transplant waiting list, for example, will die or become unwell to receive a transplant as a result as a result of disparity. And so to address the problem, to address the sort of issue, the transplant community has been turning to organs previously considered to be unsuitable for transplantation, including organs from extended criteria donors, and those with, for example, pre-existing conditions that would not necessarily be viable donors. However, further research is also required in order to improve knowledge of and optimize outcome from these organs. And so the Quad initiative seeks to provide or sorts to provide a unique resource to support transplant research with the aim of identifying pathways of injury and repair in donor organs, evaluating sort of novel targets for interventions to repair damaged donor organs, validating and verifying biomarkers which can be utilized to better predict the outcomes in and around transplantation, optimizing donor management and organ preservation, and promoting sort of collaboration between research groups and research groups and organizations to benefit benefit those patients and researchers, but also where the Quad initiative seeks to ensure there's that unusable sort of where organs in context of transplantation would be unusable, that the initiative seeks to identify sort of ways to see that previously unusable organs in context of transplantation are sort of viable in context of research and sort of for samples in regard to research as well. The Quad is also a sort of a nationwide initiative encompassing all organ retrieval zones in around the United Kingdom in particular. And in addition, the Quad initiative has sort of regional bases across several parts of the United Kingdom. The Quad initiative also encompasses sort of a wide range of personnel, including nurses, specialist nurses, transplant surgeons, academics, researchers, national and local management teams, and a variety of other healthcare professionals as well. The Quad initiative also has a remit, when there's a remit linked to the Human Tissue Authority, the HTA, and NHS Blood and Transplant, NHSBT, where samples are obtained in accordance with relevant legislation, which includes the HTA 2004, the HTA, the human also the Human Tissue Act, HTA 2006, the act the mental there's also in around the Mental Capacity Act 2005, the adults with incapacity Act 2006, and the Mental Capacity Act from from sort of Northern Ireland in 2016. And outside of Scotland, samples for research must be taken under a license from HTA, the Human Tissue Authority, the Human Tissue Authority, and NHS Blood and Transplant holds a HTA research license, which is also a site specific and covers areas in across 41 different hospitals throughout the United Kingdom, and the license covers the collection of all quad from the license covers the collection of all quad samples, and on the website, on the Quad Initiative website, there is a sort of a video that highlights sort of a video that highlights an overview in around the process around the process according to sample, and again the website has information for researchers, as well as for those as well as others. And again, there are sort of newsletters on newsletters and sort of news in around in around the in around the invest in around the initiative. There is For researchers, there is a growing awareness that the sharing of data and biological samples is crucial to capitalizing on resources. Using using robust and sustainable infrastructure of the Quad initiative or platforms, unnecessary duplication of expensive research, or the collection of new data when existing data could serve the purpose or objectives, can be prevented, and inter and national collaboration on relevant topics are facilitated. So the Quad initiative is again a initiative where there's a sort of low threshold to promote research activity, and the initiative looks to encourage researchers from all over to apply to put forward a requirements in context to access sample, and there are links to the initiative through social media, on the Quad Equality in Organ Donation website, and there is also on the website, there is information pertaining to sort of where investigators, researchers, and sort of members of the public, for example, can access more information in regard to in regard to the Quad initiative as well. So the um, the website on Quad also has some information in regard to some of the some approved research projects. For example, as there's been for example in around proteomic signatures in donor blood as diagnostic tools of donor kidney quality and predictors of 12-month outcomes in kidney transplantation or renal transplantation. In a project approved sort of research project in looking at sort of molecular signatures of donor kidney quality as predictors of long-term outcomes, looking at investigation of injury pathways and mitochondrial biogenetics, bioenergetics in kidneys and livers and brain, and circulatory death, and in around looking at assessment of the feasibility and potential impact of a kidney and liver donor histopathology service in the United Kingdom, and also looking at improving graft function in transplantation with normothermic regional perfusion, a pilot investigation to investigate the underlying mechanisms, and looking at sort of pre-donation biomarkers to access quality of kidney graft in around D in around DBD and DCD kidney grafts or renal grafts, and also looking at investigation of markers of injury. And also looking at sort of beta cell death, beta cell death, as an assessment tool for selecting donors for pancreas transplantation. Looking at systematic study of serum markers of brain injury in DBD organ donors, and also looking at circulating inflammatory factors in deceased organ donors result in innate immune activation, and on the website there is a various list of sort of approved research projects, and where there is a sort of abstracted information in regard to the aims or objectives around particular projects as well, and the list and the information in this part of the Quad Initiative sort of website might be helpful or useful for researchers to gain an understanding of the sort of the sort of in around sort of applicability and approach to aspects of research that can be that can be that ca- that researchers or investigators in around the healthcare, those from the healthcare professional, those from healthcare professional backgrounds, etc., can sort to approach the quality in the Quad initiative in around any sort of prospective based works, and these projects have been approved by these projects, the projects listed in on the Quad Initiative website have been approved by a steering committee committee and organization as part of that as part of the organization. So at the same time, when having sort of initial discussions with those who represent the Quad initiative, they have been sort of approachable in context of seeing where potential where there can be potential sort of interlinks with any sort of prospective work. So the Quad initiative is sort of a way for those who want to sort of identify ways to actually sort of look at aspects of organ donation and transplantation, but from varying sort of pathways or pathways in context of sort of clinical as well as sort of scientific aspects, but also in context of generalities around transplantation as well. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This has been an audio podcast aligned to the Labostix Practice Edition, part of an audio podcast, a part of the LabTide G-Force, as part of the audio podcast, as part of the Bostix G-Force. And an audio podcast as part of another Storm Labostix production. Production. There will be some information in regard to this initiative as part of the social as part of sort of social media aligned to Storm Labostix, and where viewers and listeners can find and identify sort of further information and further sort of context to further context in regard to aspects of the work of the Quad initiative. So thank you once again for tuning in on this.